My guest today is Elizabeth Mitchell. She's an adult figure skater who took up the hobby in her early 20s. What I love about her story is it's a perfect example of how we grow when we take action. Now, Elizabeth is a competitor in a sport that she loves. Hi, Elizabeth. Thank you so much for joining me on the show today. I've been following you on Instagram for a while, and I just think you're going to make a lot of people think about their hobbies today.
Well, thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Let's talk then. I've been following you on Instagram because I saw one of your reels of you ice skating. And I thought, what is this about? So tell us a little bit about yourself. You're coming to us from Maryland. So tell us just a little bit about yourself, and then we'll get to the ice skating. But I just want to share a little bit about yourself first, and then we'll dive in because I have so many questions for you.
Yeah. So I live in Maryland with my husband, and I'm a third grade teacher. I previously taught music, and then kind of not really a full career change because it's still teaching, but shifted gears. And yeah, outside of that, I don't like skating is really my big thing outside of teaching. But yeah.
So you had wanted to be a figure skater or a skater, and there weren't skating rinks, they're called, around where you live. Now, some of the best memories I have as a kid was going to the skating rink and meeting friends there. And, I think that's when I first probably held a boy's hand because he asked me to skate. They'd have the snowball where all the girls are on one side and the boys are on the other, and they'd come and skate around and ask you to skate. But I just remember it being this place of independence. And, it's a place our parents felt comfortable dropping us off, and we didn't sneak off anywhere. That's where we wanted to be. So did you grow up skating? Did you grow up with any kind of place that you could go like that gave you your love of skating?
Yeah. When I was quite young, like 5 or 6, my mom started taking me to the roller rink. We had roller rinks more local to me than ice rinks. So I grew up going there and skating at the roller rink. And I actually did a little bit of artistic roller skating, which is basically figure skating, but on wheels. And that was my place until it closed when I was in high school. Um, I never really had the chance to go ice skating when I was young, but then an outdoor rink opened when I was in high school and started going with my boyfriend, now husband, and really found a place there that I loved. And I had always been interested in ice skating, but I had never really had the chance to do it.
So that was a roller skating rink for me too. I hadn't ice skated. I remember going to the Galleria Mall in Dallas, somewhere in Texas, I think, and they had a big skating rink in the center. They had that in Houston too. I think that it was Dallas where I saw it the first time, and I was just in awe of it. We didn't have anything like that where I lived. The thought of ice skating, I had white roller skates with the blue wheels, and I would circle around in our house riding them. And my mom just said I couldn't use my rubbers to stop because it would scuff up the floor. So I had to learn how to stop without using the rubbers. And I had roller skates with metal wheels. I used to ride all up and down our street. I wish I had a picture somewhere of it, but just really, it was that and a bicycle. If you think about as a kid, the things that made you feel free or a little bigger, a little older, I think for me, it was roller skates and bicycles. So you started, you had aspirations of, you wanted to aspire to ice skate. Did you feel like you were a good roller skater, or did you feel like it was something that came easy to you? Did you have to, some of the games that we'd play, to have to go under the pole and all the things, I wasn't as good at those, but were you good at skating?
I was pretty good at it. Yeah. I remember struggling a lot when I first started. But by the time I was in second grade or so, I remember having a birthday party at the roller rink.
Yeah.
My friends would be like falling down and laughing together, and I felt left out almost because I wasn't falling down and laughing with it. So I was pretending to like not be able to skate as well as I could. But yeah, I was okay at it. I could do a few little tricks, but nothing too spectacular.
Those birthday parties at this skating rink had the best cakes. They always
Really?
had the best cakes. I remember the cakes. So then when you started, so then when it closed down, I just wonder about that because our skating rink where I grew up closed down as well. I thought I heard rumors of it reopening, but it had closed down long before probably, I'm in my 50s now. So long before it would have closed down at my age when I was still enjoying it. Did you miss it? Were you still skating when it closed, or had you moved on to other things, being a little bit older?
I had pretty much moved on. There was definitely a sense of like loss when it was, like the knowledge that that wasn't
Yeah.
the place to go anymore
Yeah.
and that it wasn't an option anymore was very sad. And we knew the owners and everything, so it was sad when it closed. And I know a lot of people in the community missed it.
As a third grade teacher, do any of your kids, your students, skate or have an interest in skating? And I'll get to as it relates to you or you and your story, but is there a place for them to go or stories that you tell them?
Yeah, so I actually teach less than a mile away from a roller rink.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so a lot of my students go roller skating or, participate in activities there, or we have an after school program that's held at the roller rink. So it is a big part of the community that I teach in, which I really enjoy.
Kids need a place to go.
They do.
We need a place to go. Our kids need a place to go. Well, let's take a break. When we come back, I want to talk about adult skating that you feel like we want to make it clear that you're not the only person doing this, that there is a whole community of people that you've discovered in your love of ice skating. We'll be back. We're talking with Elizabeth. Just a moment. We're back talking with Elizabeth Mitchell. We were talking about our love of roller skating as kids, and you had a desire to also ice skate. You didn't have a place to do that. So at what point did you decide, or what was going on in your life that made you feel like ice skating, this is the time for it? All these years later, how did that come about?
So I just gotten married and I was actually on my honeymoon and we were in Orlando and it was Christmas and it was New Year's Eve and I knew my husband it actually the catalyst was actually an argument with my husband. I was frustrated with him because he had a hobby. He loves video games and I had nothing. I just felt like I had my job and I had nothing to do outside of that and I was really sad. And so I just thought, what is the one thing that I've always wanted to do? And immediately it's ice skating. It's figure skating. So I just Googled like ice skating lessons for adults near me and a rink popped up that had a learn to skate program and I signed up right there while he was like playing a video game at this like big launch thing he wanted to go to. And yeah, I signed up right there and I haven't stopped since except for the brief period of COVID. That's the only time I've taken a break.
So then you did that. You just ice skated for the first time while you were on your honeymoon?
No, so
You got back.
I skated a little bit in high school just for fun. Like
Okay.
never took lessons, just went to public
Ice skating.
yeah, ice skating. Yep. And just went to like public sessions and used the rental skates. And so yeah, I could like go forward and that was about it.
I think it's more comparable to rollerblading than roller skating, just because it just has the center part and that seems to be it. And it's a little wobblier to me.
Yeah.
I think you fall a little harder too. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm older, but so then you decided to take up skating and then you discovered there's this whole adult skating community, and not just in your community, but when I say community, it can be a worldwide community, a national community. What did you discover when you went searching and researching this new hobby of yours?
I didn't find out there was an adult skating community until probably about 4 months in, and I like really went into this with this notion of I'm going to be the only one. And for a little while I was in a class with a bunch of little kids and it was okay. Like I still was enjoying myself, but then I went to a session and I met other adults and I thought it was wild. I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm not the only one doing this." And suddenly it opened up opportunities that I never thought were possible. I've competed nationally. I've multiple times now. I've competed in state, out of state. And there's even opportunities for me to compete internationally going forward that I haven't had that chance yet. So there is a huge community.
Well, so then when you started, how did you feel about your skill level? I mean, there's something I start and I'm just frustrated because it just seems so impossible that I'm ever going to be good enough at it for me to enjoy it, because there is a learning curve to most things we try, obviously. So how did you feel about, what was your assessment of your skill level when you first started? And did you feel determined from the start?
I kind of got lucky and quickly went from basically like level one is just learning to fall correctly and stand up and skate forward a little bit. And I could already do that. So in the first week, I went through several levels. So I felt like an immediate sense of success, and that got me hooked. And I quickly started, learning the skills that I could see the building blocks like happening towards what I wanted and what I pictured. So it kept me going from the beginning because I felt like, yes, I can do this.
So then you got better and better. So tell me about when you started to compete. How does that even come about?
I got a private coach. So initially I was just taking group lessons, and in September of my first year skating, I started in January. Um I reached out to a coach that I had seen around the rink and started working with her, and she brought me into the competition world. She suggested it shortly after I started, and
So she saw some talent in you.
she must have. So the cool thing is that there's competitions for adults at every level, from very first steps on ice all the way up till senior, which is like the most advanced level within US figure skating. So I was able to start at a lower level and still compete, and it hooked me on that like experience of like being with other people and putting work out there that I was proud of, and also the medals are fun too.
Yeah, right. I'm wondering what your husband thinks of your hobby now. He must be happy that you have something that you love.
Yeah, he's always been really supportive. Like from the very beginning, he was there on Saturday mornings watching me skate, and he comes to every single competition, even the ones that are out of state. I recently competed in Utah for adult nationals this year.
That's far.
So yeah, it was a little trip. So he's been there for me all throughout this, and he's always rooting me on and always supportive and wants to hear about what I'm doing.
That's great. And what about your students? What do they know of your fame on Instagram?
They know that I have an Instagram. I obviously don't tell them because I don't want them to find me because it is a public account. I haven't had
Well,
any.
hopefully in third grade. Hopefully they're not on Instagram yet, but
Yeah,
you never know.
never know. Yeah. Um, but they do know, and they know that I skate, and they think that's pretty cool, and they always ask questions about it and want to see pictures and stuff like that.
I would think it's a great example for them just to think about the things that they are afraid to try. And I feel like, I mean, I don't know how long I can keep saying this, because my son has been gone from home for 6 years now. He's graduated college. He's a grown up, living a grown up life. And I'm lucky, I'm very blessed that he still calls me and still comes home to visit. And we have plans together pretty regularly, but I still feel like I don't have a normal routine yet without him here. And I think 6 years is a little long. It's on me. It's absolutely on me. And one of the things I love about following your story is the first time I saw it was just that we all have to find something that we really love that's just for us. And I think as a parent, I've spent a lot of time traveling to baseball games and supporting his athletics and supporting his ambitions. And I'm certainly an ambitious person myself, but you start to lose track of yourself. So I commend you for right away recognizing, even on your honeymoon, that this wasn't going to fly, that you weren't going to have a hobby of your own, because you would have had a lot of arguments to come over that very topic if you hadn't taken action and decided, all right, I got to figure out something for myself. And a lot of people never do that. I can only speak for myself as a woman. I think it's pretty common amongst us that we get lost in other people's interests and really sometimes never figure out our own.
Yeah, I think that's really true. And I see that among a lot of people who, I've grown up with, that suddenly they're stepping aside to put others first, which is, you know, something that women, I feel like a lot of times are expected to do. And I wanted to take that back and say like, no, my interests are valuable too.
Yes, most definitely. Well, let's take a break. We're just going to finish up a few more questions for you. We are talking with Elizabeth Mitchell. She is an ice skater extraordinaire, and I found her on Instagram. We'll be back in just a moment. We are back talking with Elizabeth Mitchell. I discovered you on Instagram when I saw one of your reels of you ice skating, and then just went through and read your story, and have been following you ever since. Thank you for agreeing to come on my show. I kind of stalked you for a while first, like I usually do. And, we're talking about you deciding really at your honeymoon stage that you wanted to have a hobby of your own, and figure skating was something you'd always wanted to do. But let's just be clear. Yes, you're skating and enjoying yourself, but you're also training several days a week. How many days a week do you train?
Anywhere between 4 and 6, depending on what my work schedule looks like.
Okay, so tell us about that, because now you're an adult athlete training in a sport that you travel for and win awards. And tell us about that. What when you first started out, did your body respond well? I'm sure you're using muscles you never thought about that you even had to use. So tell us about the starting point and just the progression of it.
Yeah. When you first start ice skating, you're exactly right that there's muscles you didn't even know existed, especially ones in your feet and ankles that you
Yes.
didn't even know you could be
The
sore.
bottom of your feet, right? I feel that when I snow ski.
Oh,
It's not my legs that hurt. It's the bottom of my feet.
exactly. It's incredible. And that like realization of, okay, I have to have the correct equipment for this. If my skates don't fit right, I risk injury.
Right.
Like there is a steep curve for your body to learn. Like there's a lot of falling and there's a lot of aching and just like, why am I doing this? So you got to push through that, and it does get better, but it's rough at first.
Now, you talked about how you had to learn to fall. I'll tell you that you've got me thinking about trying ice skating. Like I haven't done it in many years. We have an ice skating rink here. It was a real novelty when it first got here. My son is gone as a kid, and all of that when he was younger. And I know that I'm sure that they have all the things that your ice skating rink offers. So it's just a phone call that I would make. So we'll get to that in a second. But one of the things that I have a concern about is falling, and I get that way about skiing, because in the spring I was scheduled to go on these tours, and I thought, well, I can't drive with a boot, and I'd be nervous to snow ski because if I fell wrong, it puts me out of commission for however long. And we can't live in fear like that. And the more fit we are, the more we can bounce. But how do you learn to fall, and how much has that helped you? Just for people who are even thinking about this or any other sport that could plummet us to the earth from wherever we stand.
Yeah. So learning to fall it seems like this is stupid. Like, how is this going to help me? But you do learn like to fall to your hip. Because that is the most padded area, and you don't want to fall to like your tailbone or your knees or like backwards and hit the back of your head. So you practice that action of falling to your hip a lot, and it does help. And like you learn how to put your weight in the right position so that if you are falling, you fall safely. And it helps most of the time. There are always going to be those falls that you don't see coming, and it like is a little rough, but
Right.
But if you practice it enough, you generally fall correctly.
I actually think that would be a good skill to learn as you age anyway. Just falling in general, that there's if you have an option to shift your weight and fall not on your wrists or something, then you're probably better off.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's talk about the people who follow you on Instagram like me, who message you. What kind of response do you get from people? And is there anyone who has said, I've taken up ice skating, or I'm going to take up ice skating because of seeing your videos and seeing your story?
Yeah, there are, which like when that first started, it was wild to me. I just started my Instagram mostly because I wanted a place to keep my videos and like a chronological
progress. Yeah.
Yeah. And then people started following me, and I was like, oh, I didn't think anyone was going to actually like care about this. And then a lot of people started following me, and I actually had one reel that went viral and got about like close to 1 million views, which I never expected. And
If you expected it, it wouldn't have happened. If you tried, it wouldn't have
yeah,
happened. Yeah.
no way. And people started reaching out and saying like, you're really inspiring me. And that was just something I never expected to hear, that I was inspirational to anyone. But I have had people say like, I'm going to try this because of you.
Yes. And even if it's not ice skating, whatever it is, like I said in the earlier segment, we all need to find something that's just our own, that is separate. Maybe that we share that in common with somebody else that we enjoy doing. But, in thinking about ice skating specifically, or something where you go and you leave your house and you have to be there at a certain time, and it's time that's just for yourself. I think that that's important. And wouldn't you agree? We talked about this off air, but I'm the founder of a nonprofit called the Don't Wait Project, and it's all about not waiting to do the things that bring enrichment to our lives. And it's not a bucket list, because if there was no tomorrow, you and I would not be talking today, right? You'd be with your husband, I'd be with my family. But let's just assume we have a lot of time, and what are we doing with that time? And so I think talking to you today is a blessing to me, because yesterday I was really feeling the heaviness of just, what do I want? I love my career. I have a really good life. I have great people in my life. And I'm only sharing this of myself because I know there are people who are watching who can relate. And we have to ask ourselves what we want, and then we just have to do it the way that you did it. Is there anything you want to say to those people like me, who are inspired by you?
I would say that whatever it is that you feel in your life, like, just try it. Even if you end up hating it, don't go the rest of your life thinking what if, and wondering, what if I had tried that thing that I've always wanted to do? Just go do it and find out if you love it. And you might find something that you're really passionate about, and you can carry that with you for the rest of your life.
And then if it's not what you thought it would be, then try something new and try something new and try something new. So I am going to when we get off this call with this show, I'm going to call our skating rink and find out all of the things. And then I will keep you posted about my progress. When I try it, if I like it, if I don't like it, and I will let you know. And I will let you know anyone who contacts me on this show who gives it a try too. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, keep up the good work, and I'll keep watching you. And let me know if you go to the international competition. That's really something.
Yeah, I'll have to look into it again. It's age limited, so I wasn't quite old enough yet for a little while, but now I am.
Well, that's awesome that you weren't old enough yet.
Yeah, I get 28 compete at it, so it was pretty cool.
Oh, wow, that's great. That's great to have something that you're not old enough yet for in your 20s. I can't imagine there's something I'm not old enough yet to do, but maybe. Who knows? Thank you so much. Take care.